court action, a major take-private deal, alleged tomato provenance fraud and investment in manufacturing capability. July delivered another busy month for Australia's food and beverage sector, with the month wrapping up in Melbourne at Food Pro 2026. I'm Kim Berry, editor of Food and Drink Business, and these are the stories that shaped July. SBC Global has commenced legal proceedings in the County Court of Victoria against its former chairman, Dr. Hussein Rafai, and his private investment company, Thor Capital. The proceedings concern alleged breaches of directors' duties and claims arising from historical expenditure, reimbursements, and related party arrangements. SBC alleges that some of the amounts were incurred or paid without proper authorisation or were not for a proper company purpose. The AFR reported that the company is seeking $85,000 from Rafai and $27,500 from Thor Capital, as well as interest and costs. Rafai led the consortium that acquired SPC from Coca-Cola Amatil in 2019. He subsequently chaired the company through its merger with the Original Juice Company and Nature One Dairy and its return to the ASX in December 2024. He resigned from the SPC Global Board in November 2025. SPC said the proceedings relate to historical matters and do not involve any current members of its board or leadership team. An ABC Four Corners investigation has raised serious questions around the provenance of tomato products sold in Australia. Origin Verification Company, Source Certain, tested more than 900 samples from 220 tomato products across 39 brands using trace element and stable isotope analysis. According to the ABC, 22% of samples failed to match their claimed origin, while another 6% required further testing. Products from Legos, Coles and Aldi were identified in the program as allegedly making misleading Australian origin claims. All three companies have rejected the testing results. Source Certain reportedly assessed with more than 98% certainty that the failed tomato samples originated in China. Ozveg said the allegations exposed weaknesses in Australia's country of origin labelling system, particularly where packaging identifies where a product was manufactured or packed, but not necessarily where its ingredients were grown. The findings have intensified calls for clearer labelling and more extensive testing of imported vegetable products. Noumi is set to be taken private by the Perrick family's investment company, Aravest, in a transaction valued at around $737 million. Shareholders other than Aravest will receive 12.34 cents per share, valuing Noumi's equity at around $34 million. But the much larger transaction value reflects the redemption of convertible notes due in May 2027. That liability had grown to around $610 million and continued to weigh heavily on Noumi's balance sheet. The notes formed part of the rescue package put in place after the accounting scandal and financial collapse of Freedom Foods Group, as Noumi was previously known. Noumi's independent board committee said Aravest's offer was the only credible and executable proposal capable of dealing with the note maturity while delivering a cash return to shareholders. The deal remains subject to shareholder, option holder and court approval. If it proceeds as planned, Noumi will be deregistered from the ASX in November. And in another significant development from the Freedom Foods collapse, the federal court found former managing director and CEO Rory McLeod breached his duties as a director and officer. The court found McLeod failed to take all reasonable steps to ensure the company complied with its financial reporting obligations. Justice Ian Jackman found McLeod knew that the company's disclosed inventory of $122 million included at least $20 million of unsaleable stock. The court also found half-year revenue had been overestimated by at least $9.3 million and profit by at least $8.5 million through lactoferrin invoices relating to unfulfilled purchase orders. However, ASIC was not successful on every allegation. The court dismissed claims that McLeod gave false or misleading information as well as ASIC's continuous disclosure case. Penalties and ASIC's application to disqualify McLeod from managing corporations will be considered in August. The decision marks the final strand of ASIC's civil penalty proceedings arising from the collapse. The new Central Coast Food Manufacturing Innovation Hub has officially opened, supported by $17 million in federal government funding. The facility is designed to help emerging food and beverage manufacturers move from small batch production into larger scale commercial operations. The 2,100 square metre hub contains 8 fully serviced manufacturing spaces, a pilot facility, offices and shared amenities. 3 businesses have already signed on as tenants with more spaces available. The project was led by Central Coast Industry Connect, with support from Central Coast Council, the University of Newcastle, Regional Development Australia, Central Coast and Business New South Wales. The hub will provide manufacturers with production facilities, technical expertise and commercialisation support, addressing one of the persistent barriers facing growing food businesses, the difficult and expensive jump from a promising product to efficient commercial scale production. I'm heading up there on Monday and looking forward to it. And finally, Australia's food and beverage manufacturing industry gathered at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre for Food Pro 2026. We were there as an exclusive media partner of the Industry Hub, reporting from the show floor throughout the 4-day event, as you all saw. There were plenty of new equipment, but the strongest themes were practical ones: improving efficiency, reducing waste, addressing workforce shortages, strengthening food safety, and extracting more useful information from production data. Automation and artificial intelligence were prominent, but the conversation was less about technology for its own sake and more about how it can solve real manufacturing problems. We also saw ingredient innovation responding to demand for protein, fibre, reduced sugar, and products designed for consumers using GLP-1 medications. FoodPro provided an important reminder that despite the pressures facing the sector, manufacturers and suppliers are continuing to invest in capability, productivity, and new product development. These were some of the biggest stories for Australia's food and beverage manufacturing sector in July. You can read the full stories and watch all our Food Pro coverage at foodanddrinkbusiness.com.au or on our YouTube channel or LinkedIn. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter on the website and on LinkedIn so you don't miss the news as it comes to hand. I'm Kim Berry. I'll see you next month.